Welcome to qnawire.
Okay, so we've got to identify what we get when two sugars are joined, right? Those are carbohydrates. Okay, so an example of a carbohydrate would be something like glucose. Let me find a picture of glucose and sketch that for you. Sorry, not glucose. Glucose is not a carbohydrate. Sucrose. Sucrose would be a good example of one. So, okay. Right, so this is what they mean by two sugars being joined, right? This alone is a sugar, and this alone is a sugar. If you put them together, you get something like sucrose, which is a carbohydrate. It's a disaccharide. It's made out of glucose and fructose. Okay. It is a biomolecule that has 3 rings with 6 carbon atoms and 1 ring with 5 carbon atoms. That's going to be a steroid. It's weird. I mean, that wasn't one of the options they gave you, but let's look at like corticosterone. That's a classic steroid. So you can see what they mean by, this is the basic skeleton of corticosterone. Okay, so there's, you've got your 1 6 carbon ring, another 6 carbon ring, another 6 carbon ring, and then your 5 membered ring. Okay, those are steroids. All steroids have that basic structure, and all that varies is what functional groups are included and where they are. Okay, let's see. This is made up of nucleotides. Okay, and that's going to be nucleic acids. Right? Nucleic acids are composed of nucleotides. That is, like DNA is a nucleic acid, RNA is a nucleic acid, and all that's saying is that, like for example, the DNA is composed of the subunits T, C, A, and G. Well, each of these is a nucleotide, right? And so there's a chemical structure to each of these. Like, for example, T-thymine, right, has the following structure. Okay, that's a nucleotide, right? So any combination of nucleotides joined through phosphate bonds is how you get a nucleic acid. And one example of that is DNA. Another example of that is RNA, right? Deoxy and ribonucleic, deoxyribonucleic and ribonucleic. So there you are. That's the answer to those 3 questions. It's possible by C that what they're looking for is, you could also call this a disaccharide, but I would think that this is carbohydrates. The tricky thing about this question is that They told you proteins, nucleic acids, carbohydrates, lipids. Well, that doesn't include all possible answers, right? Because we know D is steroids. They didn't mention steroids, but there you are.